Can you hear them? Listen.
Hey Collective, it's 1:44 p.m. on May 1st, 2026, and Spirit wanted me to come on at 1:44 because in Psalms 144, 1 through 13 with David, who praises God and sings to God. He wrote most of the Psalms, and he knew God to be his rock and his protector, and that through God he could help teach him and train him for the battle that was at hand. So God's plan is grand because it's in the script. So when I think of May, that's 5, going to the 5th dimension, and today's the 1st, and 2026 is 1. So 1 did win. Add that up, that's 7. So when I think of 7, I think of 7 days a week, where God created and rested on the 7th day. 7 deadly sins, 7 seas, waters above, waters below, 7 sisters in the Pleiades. So if there's waters above, yeah, I climbed this mountain because I was trying the waterfalls. I wanted to see where it all started. So I climbed up as high as I could go. I don't have I wanted to see how this water just continuously flows. It's not raining. I mean, this ain't one of the highest mountains, so I don't know, the snow still, it's just a constant flow. Coming around the mountain when she comes. So how do we turn mountains into molehills? Or it's about mountains, and it's about the rabbit hole and the moles. So when you go down in the rabbit hole and you try to come out of the rabbit hole, it's just like that game, whack-a-mole. They want to whack you on the head, keep you down in the hole, or keep you dead from the truth. And they want to keep you in the lies. And once you come out of that hole, you despise the lies. You go, holy moly, this is not good, this is not good. And then you start seeking the truth, because if that's true, then God's true too. And we've been told this, and we know Jesus is the truth and the way, and so happy to say, yes, you are to Yahweh, John 12:44. I keep preaching the gospel, and people say, yeah, whatever you say, buddy. I'm like, no, it's not what I say, it's in the script. I'm repeating, like repeater. I keep repeating myself. I know. So off to work I go in the end time show. We've got to know part of the 7 dwarfs. I'm sneezy. So, they say the old man in the mountain. God is as old as time. But then again, God doesn't age because he doesn't change. He doesn't have to change. He is the same as he was in the beginning. That's why he's the beginning and the end. Sorry, not mean to make this funny. The ancestors have been coming through, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So ancestors of the highest white light, please keep coming through. Help me speak calmly, clearly, concisely to the collective crew that is heading or that is in Christ consciousness, where we're much more aware of our surroundings. Because as Jesus says, I didn't come down here to condemn the world. I came down to shine the light on the darkness, to show you the way to get out of the darkness. And that's our own shadows to come to the light. Q has said this, going from dark to light. And it's a spiritual fight. And it feels quite mentally draining, quite physically draining, quite spiritually draining. But if you circle that T is truth, and put it next to the raining, we're in training. School of hard knock life. No, we're getting it together because Q is doing that for us. Greatest story ever told is coming back together. So through the power of God and through the power of his words and through the power of him pouring out his Holy Spirit as he promised he was going to send. Jesus said, can't come with me right now to his disciples, but there will be a time. I'm going to go prepare a place for you.
Brothers,
I go to prepare a place for you. Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all nations. You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in all Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. And know that I will be with you always. Lord,
sun rises. Who's with us? Are we with him?
Father will send back that spirit that Jesus never let go of. He perfected it to help finish what Jesus started and finished when he came into this incarnation. I know that's deep. He is our Alpha, Omega. That's Revelations 1:8, Revelations 2:2, 1:3. And then where David, was anointed, when you look at Revelations 22:16, it says Jesus says he is the root of David, who was from the tribe of Judah. Jesus was from that lineage. And he is the morning star. And you can go over to Revelations 2:8, where Jesus says when you come to him and you have the understanding of what he needs and how to connect to our Father, we are with them in the morning. We're with them every morning that we wake up. That's a new day to try again. But what will make a star mourn? That his mother is crying out for peace. And he already came and gave peace. He is the light of the world and the Ning. The Ning is peace. I learned that. I humbly teach this because as the High Council, I was like, am I supposed to be teaching all this? I'm being very humble and I'm sharing with what I've learned, and I bring in what Spirit tells me to do with the music and to share with all of you. And, I was frustrated. I'm like, frustrated with many things, and then I'm like, what can I get frustrated about? I was part of that problem. So I resonate with when Archangel Michael and Gabriel, they have that video where they wanted to strike down, but Father stayed quiet when Jesus was up on the cross, And then Jesus rose into the heavens, and Gabriel and Michael were like in shock, like,
Angels watched with indignation and fury as the Son of God was crucified. Michael, with his flaming sword in hand, cried out, "I will not allow this. I will destroy all mankind." Gabriel, filled with the same rage, declared, "They are not worthy of forgiveness. May the earth be consumed by divine justice." The heavenly armies, composed of seraphim and cherubim, were ready to descend and bring destruction as Jesus carried the cross. Michael almost intervened, saying, with a single blow, these mortals would be wiped from existence. However, the heavenly throne remained silent. When Jesus cried out, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" the angels were about to act. But then Jesus' words echoed throughout the universe, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." These words stopped the heavens. Michael lowered his sword, and Gabriel burst into tears. Divine patience triumphed, and by giving up his spirit, Jesus brought redemption. Michael, however, left a warning. Today they have been saved by blood, but one day the lion will come to judge.
When Archangel Michael and Gabriel, they have that video where they wanted to strike down, but Father stayed quiet when Jesus was up on the cross, and then Jesus rose into the heavens, and Gabriel and Michael were like in shock, like, wow, power of our Creator. So the moral of that story is, if God didn't give the grace to his angels, we would have destroyed and lost the world. So there's where he is perfect and we're imperfect, but we're striving to be perfect. It's deep stuff. So I heard the song Children by Robert Miles, and that reminded me of why we're here to really try to make a difference is for the future. So our children have a future. And then we love the animals, and we got to love this planet. She's alive. So, when I come through, it's like we are the animals that lost all the truth. And our children are innocent, and they're losing their youth from the ones that worship that slithering snake. But our Creator and Jesus would never forsake. Where is the truth and the way? God told us who was, and Christ came here and gave his life for this world of ours. So when will we know the truth and what it really is? When the humans go within and stop living in sin. And I've got the code that Satan has hidden. Given this forth, we keep on giving. We know he doesn't want the truth to come out. Christ is coming back, and he's taking him out. Who is Christ? We can all say he is the only one that could save our days. Our days feel dark and the world feels evil. Well, let's look back in history when we were medieval. Tell me how us humans are so righteous. Greed, power. Something's inside us. Parasites and the wrong thought forms. Look how far our world has fallen. Stand fast now. Our Lord keeps calling. We've got the answer to reach those pearly gates, and heaven's not created in some far-off place. It's created right here on Gaia by a Christ-conscious race. And then you heard to all the people on the street that won't zip their lip and they keep talking their smack. Are they listening to the AI God? Is that who they want to come back? Because Jesus says he's coming back, or the Terminator said he's coming back. Like the Lord said, I'll be back. You want the unorganic AI God to help create the rise of the machines? Or do we want the truth, the way, and respect what our loving Creator created, which is all of it? Where's dust? He's the Midas touch. He touched the dust, and we can do much. I said this before in the last video, so I don't want to wear it out, keep saying the same stuff over and over. I know, repeater. You guys must be annoyed. I know I'm annoying. I'm anointed and annoying at the same time. I'm trying not to annoy, but these AI, these wackadoodles telling you they're hacking into my phones, hacking into all my stuff, doing all these things, not to me, for me. All it did was help me get to the truth, continue wanting to strive for that truth, continue wanting the presence of our Father to come through. And I prayed. I said, where can I go? And this is where I was led to. And I went for a nice walk to look down, walk up the mountain, up the river, and just enjoying the presence, the sunlight, the water. Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd, for I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He bringeth me by the still waters, or the flowing waters. He makes me a path straight for righteousness for his name's sake. Though I should walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Remember Moses had the rod and he parted could he have parted the seas above? Waters above, waters below, so he could get understanding of what the mighty I am needed from him? I think of these things and I just, try to think outside the box. I try not to abuse the energies. I try to stay very humble and try to share in what God has said. Jeremiah 9:24. I'm not going to boast about the wisdom or anything. All I want to do is share with all of you the love our Creator has for all His creation. So through Jesus, where we're in the grace, that's Ephesians 2:8, the gift, such a gift. Jesus is an ultimate gift to humanity from our Father. And this planet's a gift, is she not? There's another gift, the breath of life. These gifts, these are amazing gifts. They're amazing gifts, and the grace is amazing. And, I'm going to play a song. One question. One. Jesus is the one. Quest, ion. You could question with the why. That's Matthew 7:7. And keep seeking. But you'll get the answers quicker when you cross the T and dot the I. Meaning carry your cross, purify your blood, sit still, 46:10. Meditate. It's about the meditation and quiet in the mind. Ishmael Perez brought this in the message that I just shared to pray and meditate and try to get into that practice. And you don't have to sit there and meditate for hours. You don't have to pray. Even President Trump said an hour out of the week. And Fred, the unknown prophet, I think he said set your alarm and give 10 minutes out of a day to pray for our country. And I'd like to say the country and the world, all the people, the good people that are here to live life the way God intended. And if we don't have the truth, that's not the way God intended. So this is where we're going to keep sharing these truths, no matter what the cost. Whatever it costs is costing, but I don't want it to cost people their salvation. This is real. We want to fix this planet together. The more people that come online and can get these understandings, it's on God's timing. I have faith in our Creator. He knows what He's doing. But when we start to try to focus on what He needs us to do, He comes through. He keeps coming through. So that's the message, and we'll continue to keep bringing them for all of you. Peace. Hey, Collective, it's 2:12 now p.m. I just brought a message at 1:44, walking out of the pathway. And I come through to continue on about what Ishmael Perez was speaking of in the video about the archons and how they're disconnected from source. So the way they stay active with power is by getting our life force energy loose, our chi. When they actually pull our energy and trick us and trap us into the lies and keep us fighting with each other, keep us in the hospital, keep harnessing money, which is a form of energy, as we work for money to pay for energy. But if we can get free energy, as God created this world to give abundantly in those things, and we can grow our own food and the water, we've got to start becoming self-reliant and resilient in the sense. We rely on the government to do all these things and all these, and if the logistics system was to break down, we would go into the dark ages and we wouldn't know what to do, because people are losing that understanding of how to cultivate the earth, to replenish her, to function within themselves. And I remember Robert F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy had said, ask not what the country can do for you, but what can you do for the country? So when we become children of the Most High, and Jesus did a service continuously to us all. So when we start trying to serve God's kingdom and be a service, now we're all helping each other. That's it. Helping a brother, helping a sister, helping our mother, respecting our father and big brother, and our ancestors that are in the heavens. And that's the message. I keep this one short. As Q says, 1,000 years of peace. Keep our eyes on the horizon, and it will be so. Peace. Hi, Collective. Third message, and it's 6:48 p.m. And on Luke 6:48, it says of a man who dug down deep and built a foundation on the rock. Because he dug down deep, he built that foundation on the rock. So when the flood came and hit that house, the house couldn't be shaken because it was built on a solid foundation. Not nation, foundation. Nation, station. Okay. So as I'm just bringing you up to speed on what come through. I get these thoughts. I don't know where they come from. I went out to eat alone by myself, but I get all these crazy thoughts that resurface from things that I did back when I was locked away in the Bridgewater Mental Hospital, Bridgewater State Hospital. That's hospitable, but an abomination. I've seen much. So what I remember reading was, and then what come through while I was eating, and it resurfaced, was how the Norse, the Vikings, God's people, we'll just say, they wanted to get away from the Dark Ages, Europe, everything that was going on with the suppression. It was just medieval times, and they found they went out Iceland, Greenland, Newfoundland. They were migrating. Then they said they didn't get to colonize, but they were here, and they ran into the Indians, the indigenous people. There might have been conflict at different times, but in the sense, the Indians broke bread with the Pilgrims and taught them what they knew, and the pagans also had spiritual connections. However it was, they were cultivating the Indians taught them about the Great Spirit, the ancestors, sacred grounds where their ancestors were buried, and the animal spirits and the tree spirits and Mother Gaia's spirits, the water spirits. Everything was spirit to the indigenous people. And the pagans picked, they learned how to make brew and different roots, herbs, witches, making this stuff that was grown from Mother Gaia. The medicine men had healing remedies. Different chiefs or medicine men knew what certain roots would heal the person if they had certain ailments, however it was. The ancestors helped bring that to me, as did Source, because I said this July 5th, 2023, which is coming up on 3 years ago. That story, because Father told me what to say in court. And that's when, they didn't like it. They didn't like it. Well, too bad. But, so, as Spirit keeps bringing me revelations, and we're leading everybody up. I'm not. Q is. Spirit is. Q is Quell. We're following Q. All the Anons are following Q because we're fascinated by this stuff. Yeah, we're consumed. We're consumed with what Q's got to say next. And the Anons are they're sharing, and if the Anons are getting it from Q and it's sharing it with you, it's got to be true because it's coming from Q. That's Father. I'm not. This is some fascinating stuff. Jeremiah 33:3, calling me, I will show you great and marvelous things that you have not known. I said it keeps happening every day. I keep praying to him morning, nighttime. I'm in this practice of gratitude and amazement and fascination and reverence and awe and all these words that I learned, surreal. I stomp on the ground and say, people keep saying about these simulation type deal things, and I don't even understand the trees. This tree stays right here. It doesn't move. It's staying right there. It's been there. I don't know how many, it's been there a while. So I could be a simulation. They talk about splitting the earth and some people going this way, some people going that way. I was like, what does that even mean? You can't do that. God can do anything he wants. I don't know. Anybody else find this stuff fascinating? This stuff's mind warping, space warp, all these warps, time warp. Oh, I try to bring light and laughter. And who are they after? They're still after me. They don't like what's after me? Like what I do? This is a zoo. I haven't always been true, but I've come to the light because I know now two wrongs don't make a right. It's a spiritual fight with a spiritual sight, and wish we may, wish we might. I go to sleep each and every night thanking him. I wake up in the morning, I say, thank you for another morning. But I don't want our Father morning. He gave us his morning star. He rises into the heavens every day to give us a new day to try again and again. Again. A game. A gain. Angels gain the kingdom of heaven. Yous are angels, you just don't know it yet. You're gonna, and I'm not, some of yous do know it. Some of yous do. We all are, in the sense. We gotta get back to our senses. It's a lot. I know it's a lot. I don't want to abuse these energies. I'm here to help bring people up. But I also got to tell the wicked to stop. Because they're coming down. I'm not taking them down. God's taking them down. I keep saying this. God is setting his children free. God told me to give them the warnings. I did what I was told. They didn't like it. They thought I was going to be the prey. So I prayed even more. Not P-R-E-Y. Yeah, I was the P-R-E-Y. I was like, this is not good. This is dangerous. This is getting dangerous around here. Well, I was like, I trust in Father. He knows what he's doing. This is getting tough. I tell you, I really wanted to ring the tap-out bell. He's like, no. You got to stay there. I was like, do I really? I was like, no, all right. Jesus did it for me. I want to do it. I'll do it best I can. I was like, I'm not going to compare myself to Jesus. Who can do that? None of us. None of us. But we have him to strive after, because the Ephesians 2:8, we're saved by the gift. It's a gift. All this is a gift. This is such a gift. I come out here to bring the message. I walked here last year with, maybe it was longer than a year ago, Titus. It's a lot of, memories. I got stories. Everybody's got stories. Some of my stories are gory. But a lot I want to be glory, because, we have ancestors that also paved our way, and they all have stories, and they all have different times, different eras. So watching the different eras evolve, it's just, Father said, it's not about the good and the evil, it's the love and the hate. And we all were short as far as the way God wanted us to be. So we can't, that's where God's like, see, I gave you this warning. I just want you to come to the light. I want you to come to the light. This is why I don't know. I think his kids talked him into trying with this duality. He's like, all right. He goes, I'll give you what you want, but you might not like it. And I'm not going to like it. So you's got to come correct in order to come back to me. That's deep stuff. He doesn't like sin. And he doesn't like it. It causes a world to fall into almost a lost world. You sit there and you try to really wrap your head around it, and you think of how amazing life is, and how much better it can actually be. How much better it can actually be, because we have a true God that created life, and we've fallen away from the truth. We've fallen away from what our Father has given us, which is such love. That's why he gave us Jesus, who was his ultimate love and peace. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I'm just speaking from my heart. I didn't expect to come out here and bring this message. I was just eating. I was going to go back and finish this, bringing them, and they're like, "Oh, go." And I like being obedient, even when I'm not sure where the next step is going to be. I just say, "Okay," and I just let it happen the way it's coming through. It's a download, and it's guiding, and just keep doing it when he tells me to do it. So, heartfelt. Praying. I pray every day. I pray every, night, afternoon. I try to keep a schedule because President Trump asked, pray at least an hour. Fred the Unknown Prophet said his time, and he's getting downloads from our creator. He knows this. I know it. I'm like, yep, okay. So Fred said he's got his alarm, and his people are setting their alarm at noontime to take 10 minutes to pray for the leaders of the country, this country. I say all countries. I start with our country, but I'm keeping it real. I thank the ancestors. I thank our Most High for giving us Jesus. I look up to Jesus. I said, wow, you are amazing. Just amazing, because his grace we're in. And, that's it. I continue doing what I can do to help this beautiful planet, because when we help her and listen to our Father, we're helping everybody, and that's the true meaning of what Christ said to do. Treat one of these least the ones you do unto me. So let Father handle that stuff. But we have to stand against wickedness. We have to stop feeding the beast, feeding the lies, feeding each other the BS, and what's damaging our vessels, corrupting our societies. We sigh without the T. So much come through. That's it. I gotta go ground. It's a lot. I have to reset myself and see what the ancestors want me to bring next. But I believe I'll just work on this message. I know they're getting too long, and it's because we're trying to get people excited. Revelations 12:12. The heavens are rejoicing. We're going to the heavens. Mother Gaia's human resonance is raising. We're all raising. The dark energies that corrupted God's children, they're being dealt with. They've been being dealt with. So whenever that day comes, we'll get the disclosure of the truth. Whenever God decides, only God, even in all the angelic realms, says, just be ready, because none of us know, and I'm not even going to try to figure that out. I'm just going to keep being in awe and calling on him and doing what I can do to help. That's it. Q says it. Nothing's going to stop what's coming. When God says something like that, it's going to happen. So it is the second coming of his son, because God's pouring out his spirit in many forms, and he's seeing the galactic sea fires. And yes, there's fires in, I believe it was Georgia, and yeah, there is some parts of things that are burning because of whatever's going on, demonic stronghold, whatever. But how I seen it through Fred, the fires are the hearts and the lights coming online to be like, demand answers from our government. We want the truth. We're done with the government lying to us, and they're working it out. God's working it out through his people, his team. TEA. His T is truth. That's Jesus. And the M, which is the Messiah, there's the team. Team Messiah is working to help bring the fire, bring the truth on who we admire. That's God. We just forgot because we come down here and lost our senses. We lost our senses because of the lies. We're coming back to our senses. Thanks be to God. That's it. That's the message. Yep. Transmission sent, and stay up and blessed. The truth is, we all are.
I've been doing my own thing. Love is always that way of having bad timing. You're perfectly fine, so tell me if you want me to. Yeah. If you fall asleep on this, boy, you won't, 'cause all I dream about is our first kiss. And you are the first one to make me feel like this. And this is one opportunity that I can't miss. No, no. Boy, you wanna know the key. You are wondering if the words I'm saying are for real. 'Cause you got more appeal than any man in this whole world. And baby, I've got to know how you feel, yeah. Promise you that I'll be true. It'll make it good for you. Promise you that I'll be true. I've been doing my own thing. Love is always that way. I'm having bad timing. But to my great surprise, ever since I looked in your eyes, I had one question for you. I've been doing my own thing. Love is always that way of having bad timing. But to my great surprise, ever since I looked in your eyes, I had one question for you. I had one question for you. I had one question for you.